Now, I want to open it for question and answer.
Miguel, we had a question on the chat that asked about, so there's no direct points for autonomous. Is autonomous just the just to retrieve the super vaccine?
No, no. I'm gonna go back again to the presentation. Where is this? Here. Okay. To address that question, the super vaccine has to be earned. And the only way you can get the super vaccine is if you autonomously retrieve any cell from here into this place, okay? So it has to be done autonomously from their initial positions. If a cell is already in the game field, somewhere else from their startup position, it doesn't count. It has to be from their startup position. So to get the super vaccine, you're not going to retrieve the super vaccine. To earn the super vaccine, you have to retrieve any cell, no matter what type of cell, infected, uninfected, or immune. You have to bring it here autonomously, and then you are going to get the super vaccine. Does that answer the question?
That is correct. No points.
No points. That's right. If you retrieve, no, you don't get any points for that. You just get the super vaccine. But the super vaccine is going to help you get a lot of points. You don't get any points for autonomous retrieve.
Another question was, are the isolation areas only for beneficial for scoring?
No, because you could put cells that are healthy or uninfected away from the infected cells by at least one grid space. If you put them in here, assuming you know which ones are you don't put, if you could spread them like this, one here, another here, etc., then you're gonna keep the isolation distance, and therefore you will be able to keep them uninfected, right? But if you do a vaccination, you gain extra points. And you get vaccinations and you put it on top of the platforms or inside of the frames, the isolation frames, then you get even more points. So the whole platform, a cell that is vaccinated gives you, I think, 80 points or more. I can look at the score, but yes, the answer is you don't get a score. You don't score any points for retrieving. It's not retrieving. It's called sampling a cell to get it tested. You only get scores because you're not stopping you're not doing anything to stop the infection, the spread of the infection there. The only thing that can stop the spread of the infection that will give you scoring points that will score points is putting a vaccine, whether it's a simple vaccine or a super vaccine, near an area where you're going to immunize a lot of cells.
Right,
other questions, Ernesto?
Can you move the cells outside of the autonomous period at any point?
Yes.
All right, and then does a vaccine help all cells in the square?
Yes. The simple vaccine.
All righty, and then the last one in
the well, let me hang on. With one exception, if it's immune, it doesn't do anything. If it's infected, it doesn't do anything. Okay, if it's infected and immune, it doesn't change their status. The only thing that can change status is the uninfected cells. That's why infected cells, the original infected cells, and the immune cells, the originally immune cells, do not count to for the scoring. Only the newly infected cells and the vaccinated cells count for the scoring.
All right, and then does the isolation frame need to be squarely within a cell area?
As square as possible.
All right, and I think somebody was trying to come off mute. Maybe Robert, I think, is who I saw. Did you have a question?
Yeah, that was me. I had a question, but it was not related to the game. It was the CDR. I have yet to see anything on what the CDR is, and I'm very curious. But I've seen no information on what the robot CDR is going to entail.
CBR.
The critical design review.
Oh, critical design review. CDR, okay. Well, Paul, could you elaborate on that?
So I will say we do actually have scoring sheets on this. So this will all be provided in the files when they're released to you guys. So basically, and remember, this is the very first year we're going to do this, but it's something that's going to stick, okay? So critical design review is going to be exactly that. We're going to have the teams present a design review of their robot, what it is they did to come up with the design, and then we'll actually talk about the design of each of the different components, you know, how the design was arrived at, stuff like this. This is also designed to help feed the 3D modeling challenge as well as the drawing challenge, engineering drawing challenge, okay? Because this is something that we're getting feedback from industry that they'd like to see us doing more of this to help prepare students for, you know, life in university as well as life beyond university out in the field. Did that answer the question, Robert?
Yeah, I guess so. This is a required element this year because honestly, if it's not part of the best scoring, it's going to be secondary.
It is required, yes.
Okay, but it's not part of the best scoring.
That I don't actually have that answer. Is that correct, Miguel?
You mean the best award?
Yes.
I
I
don't remember, but UIL requires
it. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're not UIL, so.
Well, can we get back to you?
I understand that. I understand that they want to have this, but I just want to know that if we don't focus that much on the CDR this year because there's a lot of other things happening, and just getting through a normal season is going to be difficult this year. If I don't focus, you know, we'll put together something for CDR. It doesn't sound that much different from Notebook, honestly. But we'll see when we get the scoring. But if it's not part of, I just want to make sure that we understand that if it's not part of the best scoring, we're going to focus on other areas first in order to compete for the best award, and we will do a CDR. But you know, it's brand new, and I'm not sure how we're going to incorporate that with all the other issues that we have this year.
Robert, that's understood, okay? So remember, this is going to be everybody's first year for a critical design review, okay? So keep that in mind. Everybody keep that in mind, right? And there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be a little different about this year than we've had in years past.
So one last thing, and back to the game, we can move the isolation grids, right?
The frames.
The frames.
not the platform.
Not the platform, but we can move the frames.
Yes.
Okay.
Remember,
That's-
cells at the end of the match that are inside an isolation frame get more points than those that are outside, even though they don't become infected. Okay.
And the autonomous, the robot just needs to bring it and drop the cell in that square so that the spotter can test it, correct? It doesn't have to put it in the tester.
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay.
But the spotter cannot take it from the robot. The robot needs to put it in this square down here. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And
Understood.
then after the robot has left that place, then the spotter can take it.
And then they can test it, put it back in that square, and the robot can come back and pick it up.
Yes. Mhm.
Well, it has to pick it up to go put it somewhere.
Yes.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
But remember, to retrieve, for sampling, for testing, has to be done autonomously from the original positions of the cells. It cannot be from anywhere else.
Is that true only for the autonomous one? Can you go and have a driver pick up a cell and bring it over and test it, and it just doesn't count toward getting the super virus?
No.
Super
No,
vaccine?
it's called the cell sampling. Cell sampling can only be done autonomously.
Okay.
The robots can go and pick up the driver cannot touch the cells, but the robots can go pick up the cells and bring them to the tester. You just wouldn't get the super vaccine. It's only if you're doing the autonomous to get the super vaccine.
Okay, so you can have a driver bring a cell back for testing.
Yeah, or yeah, the driver can drive the robot out to pick up the cells and bring it back.
Okay.
Yes. As a
Big
matter of
difference.
fact, it's, yeah, where is it?
Yes, we don't want any drivers walking out onto the field and picking up cells and bringing them back to be tested.
Yeah, like this. So the testing is going to be done there, right? Is the spotter that is doing this.
Yeah.
Okay, what other questions?
Can you explain how the super vaccine works again?
Sure. Let me find the right there. If you had a simple vaccine, imagine you put a tennis ball in here, which is a simple vaccine. It would only affect the cells inside this square. If instead of the simple vaccine, you put the super vaccine, it will affect all this in here, because it will affect the cells inside this square and all the adjacent squares as well. That's the advantage of the super vaccine. And by the way, you can do as many trials as you want or attempts the autonomous cell sampling during each match, at any match. You can do as many as you want, as many as are allowed by the time you have to do the time trial.
All right. Can the cells be moved anywhere within the field for score, or do they have to remain in their original square?
I think they can be moved anywhere on the field.
What happens to an unaffected cell in a square with both a infected cell and a vaccine?
Oh, is this?
Next page. There
Here.
you go.
Okay. Oh, you have a vaccine, you have an uninfected cell here, okay? At the end of the match, this uninfected cell becomes vaccinated. But the infected cell doesn't change its status, it remains infected. But notice here, since this uninfected cell is adjacent to this cell, this simple vaccine doesn't have effect on the adjacent squares. Therefore, this one becomes infected. Whereas if you use a super vaccine, the moment you have the super vaccine here, at the end of the match, this becomes vaccinated and so does this. This is done, there's no impact on this one because it was immune already. Is that clear?
All right. It's another question. The example showed 3 cells in each grid. Is that always the case, or can there be more than 3 in a grid?
Oh, excellent question. I have forgotten that point. If you end up at the end of the match with more than 3 cells on one grid element, that counts. They all become infected. That's the rules. I did not invent the rules, but that's the rules. If you have more than 3 cells in one grid element at the end of the match, they all become infected.
All right. Does an isolation square or platform block the adjacent action of the super vaccine?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Does an isolation square or platform block the adjacent action of a super vaccine?
No, no. Oh, good question. Yeah, there's something.
I found it, Miguel. So
Yes.
any vaccine, simple or super, placed in an isolation zone, frame or platform will only affect cells within that frame and platform.
Right.
Likewise, super vaccines placed adjacent to an isolation frame platform will not affect cells inside of that frame and platform.
There's one exception though. The platforms, you cannot have any cells underneath the platform. If there's a cell underneath the platform, then the isolation of that platform is compromised. That's part of the rules. So the scoring would not work well if you have isolated cells on a platform and you have cells underneath, because then that would have compromised the isolation of that platform. No cells can be underneath the platforms at the end of the match to make sure that it's not the isolation of the platform is not compromised.
All right. Can the robot still be touching the cells at the end of the match?
Oh, good question. I'll have to get back to you on that one. I don't know. Can the robot be still touching at the end of the match? I don't know if that's going to count. They need to be, the cells need to be flat on their big area, on their big surface against the game field. The only exception is when a cell is not perfectly inside a frame, for instance, a little corner sticking out, then it's the part that has the biggest area of the cell is the grid element that has the biggest part of the cell is the grid area considered to be where the cell is. In other words, it doesn't have to be 100% inside, whereas the vaccines have to be 100% inside.
Yeah, and actually does mention in the rules that it's a little bit different this year, that any cell that is held by the robot or spotter at the end of the match will be treated as if it were in the nearest grid space.
Oh.
So cells that are touching the robot or the spotter will still count. However, vaccines that are held by the robot or spotter at the end of the match will not apply.
All right. And here's another question. Is it only one cell that needs to be tested autonomously in order to get the super vaccine?
Yes, it could be any cell, infected, uninfected, or immune.
And then how many super vaccines can we attain?
I only read only once. I don't think you're, I think it's only one.
All right, folks, the floor is open if you have any questions.
Now, Ernesto, it doesn't mean that you could not do multiple attempts at doing a cell sampling autonomously. But once you get one cell, you get the super vaccine, and that's it. Or
Okay.
super vaccines. I think you're going to run out of time.
In this example, after infection spread, why is there still an affected cell? I thought a super vaccine would make all cells vaccinated.
Not if it's immune. If it's infected, if you're infected, if you have an illness, a vaccine is not going to do anything for you. If you're infected, you're infected. If you're immune, the vaccine is not going to do anything. Is that the question?
The vaccine basically stops the spread of the infection, is what it's doing.
Exactly.
Right? So it's determined whether or not a cell is infected or not prior to the match, right? Based on the configuration. And then the vaccine is designed to stop the spread of the infection, okay? It doesn't uninfect an infected cell, okay?
And that is why only the uninfected cells, the 12 uninfected cells count towards the scoring. The other cells don't count towards the scoring. The immune cells, the cells that were originally immune and infected don't count towards the scoring. Only the 12 uninfected cells, their fate is what determines the spread of infection.
All right, another question. Can we go back to the more than 3 cells per square rule? Is it any 3 cells or 3 infected cells? What's the rule say?
Any 3 cells. That's what I read.
All right.
Hold on.
Here it is. When the number of cells of any type in the grid space exceeds 3, the uninfected cells within that grid space become infected.
Okay.
Only
when it exceeds 3, okay?
Yes, exceeds.
3 is your maximum in any grid space.
Right.
That's what that's designed for.
More than 3, then all the uninfected cells in that area become infected.
So guys, think about it this way. Social distancing is being applied to the cells as well, okay?
All right, another one. If 2 infected cells both are infecting 1 unaffected cell, do they both stack the negative counter?
No. Only the newly infected cell counts.
And then vaccines don't count as a cell though, correct?
Correct. The actual vaccine, no, but vaccinated, yes. Vaccinated cells count. Vaccines don't count.
Yeah, exactly. The question is, if you have 3 cells in a grid space and you add a vaccine, is that exceeding the count? That is not exceeding the count. It has to do with cells, okay, not the vaccines.
Correct. The vaccine doesn't count as a cell.
Right.
All right, and then there's a question that's been going around with Jen. What is how much, I guess, items are there to be loaded into a vehicle? What would be the recommended platform for picking those up?
Oh, you mean the kits?
Yes, all the materials that's being picked up tomorrow.
So if I may, Miguel,
sure.
So this everybody who's participated is going to recognize a lot of this stuff, okay? So we will have the standard 2-foot long boxes, file boxes with the consumable kit materials. It will also include some 5-foot long PVC, some 3-foot long wooden dowels. Okay, you guys are also going to take some plywood with you. Those are 2 feet by 4 feet long, right? And then we have some 2-foot long 1x4s as well. Okay, so we're not taking anything super long with this. The longest is a few pieces of 5-foot long PVC.
And the field
Okay.
kit, it fits in a medium-sized Home Depot moving box.
Because that's what you're going to get it in, is a medium-sized Home Depot moving box. Thank you,
Exactly
Steve.
right.
And thank you, Steve Nurr, for stepping up and doing all of the field kits for everybody. So thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. What are the questions, Ernesto?
I don't have any questions in chat. Oh, wait. Is there a border wall around the field?
No.
No, it's just tape, white, 1-inch white tape.
Any other questions? Does flooring matter?
Mm.
I didn't read that in any one of the instructions. I don't think it matters. Obviously, it matters for what are you going to put on the wheels of that robot, right? How is it going to move? But there's nothing in the instructions that I read them several times.
There's one note where the floor of the field can be any hard surface, concrete, tile, wood, or laminate, or low pile indoor outdoor carpeting.
So there was one question. So if the cell goes outside the carpet, it's out of bounds.
So outside of the tape.
Yes, it's out of bounds. Yeah.
Is it retrievable if it goes out of bounds?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
That's
Now,
in the
you have
general
a-
rule.
Yeah,
Once
right.
something is out of bounds, yeah, again, that's in the general rules for best. Once it's out of bounds, it's out.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why we have the 7x7 grid field, right? Gridded field.
When will the files be unlocked? We're doing a kickoff tomorrow morning.
What do you mean the finals be unlocked?
The
Files.
files. Rules and the field drawings, the files.
Oh,
Jen is currently trying to get an answer for that.
Yeah.
When they
Okay.
will be unlocked.
As soon as everything works out and they're able to email the links to everybody will get the links. And this is going through the registry again, guys.
Yeah. I've been looking on the registry. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, they will access. You will access those in the workflow, in the registry.
Yes. What
Any
other
more-
questions?
Gentlemen, we did. There was a lot of thank yous to you guys, for everyone, Miguel, and Best Robotics in general.
And thank you to you and Jen as well, and Alex.
yes.
Couldn't do this without you guys.
Yes. Thank you, Ernesto, Jen, Alex, and you too, Paul and GJ, Thank you.
We do have another question. What are the dimensions for the exhibit?
I don't believe the exhibit dimensions have changed.
Yeah.
Right? So it's still 4 foot by 8 foot or 8 foot by 8 foot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't
didn't read
think
anything. Yeah. I didn't read anything. in that.
Sorry to interrupt. The exhibits are all going to be virtual exhibits through a dedicated WordPress website
There we go.
going to be constructed.
Okay. So it's almost like building a website kind of thing, right?
Yeah, much smaller.
Yeah, much smaller and much easier. Yes.
Yeah, there's obviously additional information in the rules that goes over the specifics.
So, Miguel, have you gone over the, because people are going to start asking here pretty quick. Have you gone over the schedule to let everybody know what the schedule for this year is?
Yes, I think at the beginning of presentation.
I have to apologize to you because I was texting Jason over at Stokes Hardware trying to work all that out.
We
So-
definitely want to highlight, folks, that you now have 9 weeks this
Yes,
competition period.
That's
this is
the
not a
schedule.
6-week season. It's
I
a
just-
9 week.
I just put the schedule in there.
Perfect.
So as the time comes, as we come to the right, close to these dates, you maybe much earlier, we're gonna send you information about the specific scheduling. Say, for instance, the marketing presentations, and then the critical design reviews, and particularly exhibit team interviews, right?
Yes.
Exhibit and team interviews. Those had to be scheduled, and we're gonna be working on that. And everybody is going to be getting that information through the registry. What other questions are there? Well,
Just a reminder, remember, I just can't emphasize enough, tomorrow, everything is pushed back 1 hour. So your
Yes.
times, just want to remind everyone once again on that topic.
Oh.
and that includes us. Is that true, Ernesto?
That is, yes.
Okay.
So you could, yeah, you guys and the volunteers from Houston Christian all need to be there at 9 instead of 8. Okay.
And then to answer the question, the recording of this session, GJ is going to be kind enough to edit it, and then he will add it to our YouTube channel. Is that correct, GJ?
Yeah, we'll post it on our website, and then if we can put links on the registry, we'll have the link provided there as well.
And GJ, I can provide you with the presentation so you can post it on the website as well.
That one we'll put on the registry probably.
Okay.
I do have another question. How will inspection happen, or is it going to?
You mean the robot inspection?
Yes.
Ah,
I don't remember anything on the inspection other than we're going to be looking at the robot through the video, right?
it has to fit on the 24 by 24 by 24, right? And then
Yeah,
I think
it's
Scott-
the rules. Jim's trying to look that up right now. Oh, wait for that. Are there any other questions?
Okay, guys, I'm reading the robot compliance on the competition guide, the hub guide. Is saying for the classroom competition, robot compliance should consist of a cursory review via video before the start of the time trials. Okay? So in other words, we're going to ask you to stand the robot up in front of the video. Let's hold a tape measure up next to it to show all 3 of the dimensions as best we can. And we're going to go from there. Okay?
Yeah, I was looking at where we put that. Okay, very well. So then Scott will have to be involved with that. Very well. Any other questions?
Okay, so Miguel, I'd remind them about the Q&A, and because people are going to be going through the through the rules. There's going to be questions after going through the rules.
Yes. Yes. Well, all the answers, we can answer questions, but whatever we tell you may be overruled always by Q&A, the registry, because that comes directly from the people that design this theme. So Q&As regarding the actual game, you can ask us those questions, but I think all communications now are going to be through the registry. They have to be through the registry, and then the Q&A section is going to incorporate all those answers. So again, that's a new thing this year, that even though in the past there was a Q&A section that was always handled through Best Robotics, this time is going to be everybody goes through the registry pretty much for everything, including Q&A. Also, very important that I think I mentioned it, but I think it's worth repeating it. Every single member of your team, students, mentors, coaches, teachers, they all have to register in the registry, through the registry, to be able to participate. Not just the coaches or the mentors, everybody in the team has to be registered. So please, it's individual registrations per student, per volunteer, per teacher, etc., etc. What else? No more questions?
Oh,
Okay.
one, I did, I thought I was unmuted, sorry. Jen just wanted to remind for the registry, when registering, parents must register.
Those who are under 18.
That for those that are under 18 to register their students. So they must register first, then set up a student account to register their students.
Very good point. Thank you, Jen.
All right, I think that we have no more questions.
Okay.
Very good. So
Beautiful.
thank you everybody for your participation, and we're looking forward to being with you in the competition, even though it's going to be virtual or online. We're still going to be doing this synchronously, which is an important part of the competition. And we're going to be around here to help you if you have questions. The way to communicate again is through the registry, and we're here to help. And we hope to see you tomorrow. Well, maybe not all of you, but those of you that are going to come pick up the kids, okay?